invite Dr. D.K. Hari and Dr. D.K. Hema Hari to give us a multimedia presentation on Samskrtam and Science of Science. Dr. D.K. Hari and Dr. D.K. Hema Hari, husband-wife duo, are founders of Bharat Gyan, a pioneer in Indian civilization knowledge studies, conceptualized 25 years ago with a mission to raise awareness about the knowledge, practices, and global connects of the Indian civilization over millennia from an Indic perspective. They started Bharat Gyan after a 20-year stint in management and IT and extensive global travel to explore other cultures. Bharat Gyan's Indic narrative showcases the scientific, industrial, and social aspects of the Bharatiya civilization, besides highlighting its spiritual aspects, and shows how it is the ethos of their twinning which had sustained flourish for the civilization across millennia. The couple have collated several hours of multimedia content and published several books, blogs, and short films. They are the visiting faculty for Indian Civilization Studies at universities in India and overseas and conduct online courses. They are the knowledge partners to the Indian Knowledge Systems Division of the Ministry of Education. Let us welcome Dr. D.K. Hari and Dr. D.K. Hema Hari to talk to us on Samskrtam and the Science of Science.
First of all, we'd like to thank the members of Madras Sanskrit College for inviting us for such an important program. Thank you so much. Mr. Ramesh Mahling must be here in this corner probably. And I'd also like to thank Professor for remembering the talk that we gave, one among many talks in Sanskrit College about 15 years ago on Sankalpa. Very nice of you, Professor, to recall that after 15 years. Very kind of you. We really enjoyed it and we look at it as one of the talks that you gave many years ago. Thank you so much. And it's our pleasure and honor, my wife Hema and myself, to be here. And they said, Bengaluru, I'm born in Mylapore, Radhakshan Salai. So I'm as much, literally 100 meters from Sanskrit College is where I was born and I lived the early period of my life. So very much a Mylapore Vasi. Thank you. So the topic of the day given to us is about Sanskrit, sign of science. Very important. And we said also we'll try to show you a slide in the end about Sanskrit or Samskrit, because we prefer to use that Sanskrit. Because the fundamental we say, we anglicize it and use the word Sanskrit. There's a small issue that all of us should be aware of because we are all involved with this language. How much of us know, but we are involved with the language. The word sans in the English language means without. Sans something, without something. That's what it is. Samskrit, when you hear the sam means it is with, inclusive. So Sanskrit is an inclusive language, not without. The point is, Tamil sonna vellakara vaai vandu tongue move alla for it to say Samskritam. So you call it Sanskrit. But for us all, namakku naak nalla valanji varum namakku. So we can say Samskritam. That's the way. There's actually a way how the language term itself came about. That if you have the time, we'll show you that slide too in the end. It's there in our website for all to see.
So today, actually we are literally taking coal to Newcastle. All of you are part of Samskritam College. But we thought at this juncture, maybe just take a few minutes to appreciate what this language really embodies for us. And we do know that there is a lot of Samskritam has been the language for communicating science. Like Sri Ramesh ji just mentioned, science has been communicated with Samskritam. But we also see science itself in Samskritam, and that's what we're going to see now in for a few minutes. The science of science in Samskritam. And it is not just science, but also science of communication in Samskritam. We already know, and he listed that so many subjects are there. We have specific Samhita for medicine, we have Charaka Samhita for surgery, we have topics for Vimana, astronomy, mathematics, and very interestingly, these are very broad subjects, right? But you will see that there are some very, very specific subjects also on which you find text. We all know about Vaiseshika, of course. There are works on Akshara Lakshana, which are about maths. on Shabda Shastra about sounds and echoes, literally sound engineering, which is one of the hot topics today. Shilpa Shastra, again, we know. Then Parakaya Pravesha, about even teleporting. Okay, we had the youngster who wanted to know what all we can do. So Sanskrit and Beyond. So this is the beyond that is already there. And then about science of photographic scanning.
Just 1 minute. Since you said beyond, to go beyond is important to know what is it we have and where we are. If we try to go beyond without knowing where we are and what we have, that beyond will not have the gravitas. It's very important to be strong in your own personal area. Then when you grow beyond, you grow with that strength. That's very important, to grow in strength.
And Sri Ramesh Ji's subject, mechanics.
So,
Then optics, Amsubodhini, one of the very, very rare texts.
all this is,
Then about clouds, what all have we not studied about? Then about energy, then of course gymnastics, poison. And this is so interesting, 200 kinds of drawings just by looking at a person's nail or hair, looking at some feature of a person, you're trained to draw the person. And this science, actually, therefore, it's not just drawing. But imagine how much of Ayurveda and yoga and so many other aspects, about the person's mental makeup and physical body physiology would have to be known for a person to be able to draw just looking at these kind of features.
today people talk about calligraphy as a new science that's been there a couple of centuries. This is beyond and beyond that for a couple of millennia and more. That's the difference you're seeing.
So about flower arrangements and food preparations and so on. So fundamentally what we're
Gastronomy.
saying is,
Gastronomy has been a science. So interestingly, if you see today, when Indian knowledge system is being brought back in the policy, it's not being brought back in humanities or arts. It's being brought back through AICTE, that is technical education, because in this wisdom, the policy makers have deemed it right that science is not about only Alankara, humanities, arts. It's also substantially about science. And that is what we need to bring back. That's why very clearly Indian knowledge system is placed in AICTE, in technical education, and rightly so. I think we should appreciate the framers who set it in the right path for it to grow, because Alankara is important, absolutely important, but even more important is the Vijnana, Jnana, Vijnana, the depth of it, going into the depth, specifics.
because we forget that science also needs language. So all that Alankara is needed for expressing science. And an aspect of a language, if you see, it's that which gives you the ability to express. It has expressions in it to cover the subject that you want to talk about, and also allows you to be expressive enough to reach the other person. So all of this is there in Sanskrit, and therefore it has been chosen as a language for science. But
see, in communication, we have a very important point. What do people try to do in communication? They try to impress. That's how the normal way of communication acts. Let's not try that in Sanskrit. Let's just be Let's be expressive. The impression and the impression will automatically happen. That's a huge, it's a fundamental difference. If you try to impress, your effort is trying to impress, not on the solidity of what you have. If you just be expressive, the impression will automatically happen and be much deeper, much longer. That is what our Samskritam is about. In communication, see, again, it's a very technical field. We have mastered that art of communication.
And we all know, all of you especially will know why Sanskrit has been chosen as the language for science. One, as the word itself says, it's well done, it's refined, it's that which has been perfected. It is also context-based, it is coming from nature. We have Sampadananda ji here who has so much to say about that and so motivational. And then also about rule-based, and every word having a meaning. So the artha and the padartha, But are these the only signs of the signs in Sanskrit again? So,
See, when she said Sanskrit, all of us agree Sanskrit is one of the oldest languages in the world. One of the oldest. I'm not getting into A or B or C. I'm just taking a broader basket of saying one of the oldest languages in the world is Samskrtam. That much. Okay. Now, if you're saying this is a job well done, that is refined language, perfected language, then can one of the oldest languages be the job well done, perfected, refined language? See, it almost sounds like an oxymoron. You can't have the early language be the refined one. I think this is an occasion to pause for a moment there to think. That means what? Was there a language prior to Samskritam too, from which evolved Samskritam? Is a question that we'll have to think. I'm sure there are enough scholars here who have wonderful views on this subject, and which needs to be debated in an institution of Samskritam. Probably Prakritam, Prakriti, that which comes from nature, evolved into Sanskritam. Could be just one option, just placing here in this stage.
So, the science, when you say Sanskrit has been used for science and it has been the apt language, so the challenges it would have faced for which it refined itself would have been to communicate the abstract thought, abstract information. How do you communicate that? That would have been a challenge. And also, how do you preserve all the communication that is happening around this abstract knowledge? And therefore, writing has been one of the key important features of Sanskritam. And when we say writing, we'll have to then look at all these beautiful symbolisms that we have for writing. We have always used Ganesha. We have had a scribe, and we have always gone back to Ganesha as a scribe, because scribing is a way to communicate even without being in person. And it is also a means for preserving that communication. And we have symbolized that with Lord Ganesha as one of the earliest scribes who has written along with understanding. I'm sure all of you know the story between Vyasa and Ganesha. We have in Egyptian civilization, we have Tot. And he stands for scribing with observation. It's an ibis. It's a bird ibis. So observing everything. And so today what you know of the Egyptian civilization is because of scribes such as Tot.
Yeah. See, if you go to Europe, not just Egypt, all the Aegean Sea and the Mediterranean Sea area and thereon into the United States of America today, if you ask about the idea of scribe, they will take to the Egyptian scribe. That is probably 2000 BCE. But Lord Ganesha having scribed the Mahabharata, which goes back 2000 years prior to that. So the idea of scribing is very clearly with us. And she's written three things under that. I'll come to the third point. See, our idea of scribing is what? With understanding. A scribe is just not a copywriter who does it without understanding. No, then he's not a scribe. A scribe is one who does it with understanding. And she said so nicely, for the bird ibis, why does the Egyptian civilization, contemporaneous to our civilizations, why do they show an ibis for it? Because an ibis has got the power of observation. A scribe needs the power of observation. So they limited it to observational skill alone, whereas we gave it the higher pedestal of understanding. That's a key point in scribing. Now we have shown a third scribe. Okay, anybody knows the name of this particular script? It's very contextual. This third script, she said, guess the script. No, please. No, please.
Look at the... No,
Pali, no, please.
Look at the words below. With curves.
With curves. How many of you in your house, many of your elders here, in your house, you have a round poof in your drawing room on which you sit on, round poof on which you can sit.
Cane poof.
Cane or cushion or something. What do you call it?
Moda.
Moda. Why is it called moda? Because it's round, curved. This script is all curved, curvy script. Okay? Clue I've given. Modi script. So the script is Modi. That's the script used by the Marathas. That was the official script of the Marathas, was the Modi script. And people who, that families that wrote in that script, who are the Kanakapillai of that script, Karni, Kulkarni of that script, they were all Modis. So here we have one Modi of that family scripting New India itself for us, isn't it? So that is the idea of script. Communication is very important in scripting.
So all these scribes, they were communicating, and so did they have a method when they wrote? So fundamentally, if you look at writing now, so when we are talking about writing, we are talking about preserving the communication, and there are two major variants. One is to preserve the content and the sound and the exact speech, the way it was communicated. So we call it the phonetic way of communicating, of writing. The other one is the semantic, where it is your idea that is important, not necessarily exactly word to word what was uttered. And there we therefore resort to symbols. So we have something like in English we call it the phoneme, and here we have the sememe. So artham becomes important here, where here it is aksharam, that which never dies, the sound never dies.
Sharam. And why do you call it phonemes? She'll come to it a little later, probably in a slide later. We'll watch that. Keyword, phoneme. Why is it called phoneme? Why?
Yes, it's a sound
Why?
unit. We'll
Why is what the question is.
We'll
Agreed.
see something very interesting.
David will come to it a little later. Okay.
So look at the various methods we have had for communicating. So starting with just the sound, and we have delved so much into the science of sound with works on Om, with the shortest being the Mandukya Upanishad. Then we have had the mudras to communicate, and there again we have expounded it with 108 Karanas. Then we have Abhinaya, we have the Rasa therefore, and then we have the music to communicate emotions, and there you have the entire system of Raga. Finally we come, this sound, the I thought, the feeling now becomes words.
Wow.
And it expresses the thought. The word is just the thought. It is the association in your mind, the thought in your mind which associates with whatever phenomenon or an object. And then here again you have had techniques like symbols, which are in seals,
How
and
many
as
of
well
you-
as symbolisms.
How many of you use symbols today for communication?
All
Like
of us.
how? What do you call that now?
Emojis.
Emojis. So today communication methodology is emojis, right? How did the Egyptians communicate? What was their hieroglyphs? Was it also something like emojis? What do you call the Indus Valley, or now more properly called the Sindhu Saraswati script? What is it? That's also a form of rebus. That's also a variety of emojis, but practiced 5,000 years back. So you're coming back to communicating with your emotions through symbols. After 5,000 years of evolution, you come back there. That's again a point you understand. So it's not ancient, because let's not say Sanskrit is an ancient language. No, it's a traditional language, because the moment we in our narrative say ancient, it means old, used illa inimene. No, it's traditional, current, and of value, present, and the coming decades too.
In fact, the word traditional itself denotes the continuity and the relevance. So traditional would be a very good way to refer to all our
Traditional
heritage.
works, not ancient works alone. They have antiquity, but they're also traditional. That's a differential.
Ageless.
Ageless,
absolutely.
traditional. Thank you, sir.
So script, again you have the science of Akshara and all the writing. That's where we'll see about phonemes. Then also for bringing out intonations, we have had notations as well. So while we've had oral traditions, we've also had notations.
So look at the
as
4 points.
swaras.
Sorry, look at the 4 points here. It's unique, it's Bharatiya, it's mastery, it's antiquity. All 4 put together is what this whole cycle of communications. Let's look at the next step of it.
So look at this, for me, the right side. If you look at it, all of these are modes of communication which are in person, live, they happen live. in person, through enactment, through expressions, emotions, and you see a natural progression with nature. They're all
Prakriti,
nature-based.
Prakriti, Prakrit.
It is there with all languages, all civilizations, people anywhere. But look at it from this point onwards, from the thought, where you start showing symbols to express that thought, where you start writing it. And what are you doing in this writing? You are taking a continuous wave of sound. Speech is just a continuous wave. It doesn't say A, B, C, D. You don't have A and B. But this set of people who perfected this, they were able to discern those units in the speech, in the continuous. If you look at speech on your waveform on your phone also, you will just see so many waves. How did they discern that any speech has got these vowels, these consonants? These are the basic units that you have to derive out of it.
She used the
Reduce
keyword
it to.
discern. Look at the keyword discern. As students, all of you will be able to do that.
And that is where you find phonetics coming in.
Again, the word phonetics using a second time. We'll come to that in the next slide.
So all of this, if you see, for preservation, it has gone through with science.
Jnana to Vijnana.
So
And a
today-
combination of both.
So today, when you say Sanskrit language, all that you see in writing and all that we are reading and the way it has been expressed, all of that, the grammar, the way it has been formed, because grammar is again what? You find it using the phonemes and then coming up with rules on how to join them, how to make words out of it. So all of this is the science that we see in the language itself. So while we have the scientific organization, actually many people, they tend to just look at Tamil like this, the Tamil alphabets, and they say it's very different. But look at it, if you juxtapose it like this, they are not very different at
They're
all.
not at all. Between
And
both,
the
what they call Vadamori and Tenmori, in the structure of organization, there's absolutely same structure.
And then
That is
again,
the key point.
Again, there is another, popular, I would say, misconception that between this, I mean, just here you have the 4, but here you have only 1. In writing, but in speaking, you have all the various 4 versions.
Go back. Now, here's one point that we say. In English language, all of us to write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Why can't you say D, X, B, L, Q, M, P, A, R, C, T, U, V? What is wrong? What is wrong? Why not change the order? Is there any rule that you can't change the order? Similar, but in Samskritam, Punjabi, Assamese, Gurmukhi, Sharada, Tamil, Sinhala, can you change the order? Not possible, because it's all zoological, biological, from the oral cavity, from your nabi. You can't change an order. But in the English language or Russian language or all other language, there's no need for an order, the supposed order that you have. Because we have the order. Think of it. That's what she's showing you here. Go back one slide. There is order only in the Bharatiya languages where they are structured and written. There's no need for, from tomorrow you can write C, D, L, P, Q, R, V, T, Y, Z and then come to A, B. You are not wrong. Because there's no sequence there. There's no need for the order there. It's got no meaning. We have meaning to our order. And it's not based on somebody's rules alone, not somebody wrote with a long beard. It is based on your oral cavity, it's based on your alimentary canal, it's based on your biology. And it's valid whether you're in Myanmar or you're in Thailand or within Assam or you're in the Pashtun language, it's all same. Unique Bharatiya order. So we have order, whereas there we have chaos. That's the fundamental difference clearly. Next point, please.
And this order is what we brought in as our akshara, which today we call in English as alphabets, phonemes and syllables. And why do we call them phonemes? So if you look at it, for all the Western languages, it is, they trace their language to Phoenicia.
Where is Phoenicia? Anybody?
I should have put that slide here.
Where is Phoenicia? It's in the East Mediterranean Sea near Damascus. Byblos, next is Phoenicia, Phoenician ports, which is there in our films. Please watch it. Phoenicia is there. So that was the center of knowledge then. below Greece, east, what's now Syria, that area. So Indian knowledge, both Samskritam and Tamil, went from here along with trade to East Mediterranean coast, from where it spread northwards into Europe. So Phoenicia was the base for them for phonetics. For steel, it was Damascus. For zinc, it was Haifa. And for books, what was it? Alexandria Library. Books, it was a place called Biblos, bibliography, bibliothèque, Bible, book, all that. So they had about 10 ports along the East Mediterranean coast, from which 10-12 subjects that went from Bharat were specialized upon by each of these ports, and from there the knowledge spread.
So Biblos specialized in phonemes, scripting, printing, coming out with written works.
But where
which is why you call that as a Bible.
So where is their source from? They say the source is from Bharat, Inde.
And there are scholars who have traced how during this transfer there were some positions were changed, because of which, while you seemingly see an order, but there is also the little bit of chaos. But then this scientific language has been the basis for understanding and discerning out phonemes or discrete units of sound in a language, and so that it can be scripted.
So when all of you use the term phone, know where it comes from. Phoenicia, phonetics, phonemes,
but
phonogram.
We didn't stop there, Look, we knew that we can write it. Now a spoken sentence can be written. But we went one step further. We also came up with the different media on which it can be written. And this was decided by the need for the medium. So while we had the Veda, which were oral, we had other works like the Upanishad, the sciences, and so on, which were written down. And for posterity, you want to preserve it. Of course, these were written on palm leaves and they were repeated every 500 years. And then for posterity, you etched them on copper, on stone. And then for trade, where you needed crisp information, then you resorted to logos and seals. And for letters, then you used things like your cloth and so on. So we were smart enough to understand the need and the medium.
So there's a myth that Indians did not writing, it was all oral. It's a myth, because Veda, Vidya, wit, wisdom, Veda was oral. All other texts, while you could know it by heart, by rote, they were written. Mahabharata is written, Ramayana is written, all the other texts, all the Sangam literature were all written. So we had writing and we had oral. Both were parallelly at the same time for the same student, same teacher, the same Gurukula, same Patashala, same Vidyalaya, same Vishwa Mahavidyalaya.
Because if you didn't have to write, there is no need for Akshara at all.
So if somebody says India had only oral, no, it's fundamentally wrong, because on basis of proper research, we can see that we had both parallel, valued both, and the specialists for both. That's what you want to bring out, the next point.
So we have addressed communication, subtle to gross, and mind as well as matter. But the beauty lies in how both the nature and the science that has been in this language, we have represented as a divinity itself for communication. And we have chosen Ma Saraswati. And look at all the different names of Saraswati. I mean, this is not all, just a few of them. But if you look at the names of Saraswati Devi, each one represents these distinct aspects of communication.
Saras.
As the whole reservoir of knowledge itself. Then as Vidya for the sciences and the insight.
Look at the English word, wit, wisdom, comes from vid.
And Vak for the words and the language.
Vak Devi.
Sharada for the writing.
The Lipi.
Veena for the resonance and the harmonics in sound. Vani for the eloquence in speaking.
So here one point. Who needs eloquence in speaking? A salesman. He needs to speak well eloquently, isn't it? Last 2 minutes. So what do you call him? Vanigan. Vanijyam. Because he has to have the eloquence to speak, sell his product to land Zafar too, where he doesn't know the local lingo. Look at how we so beautifully termed it. So these are the nuances of science.
and Bharati and Shruti. So this is a language which has leveraged nature, it has applied science and kept it relevant for posterity with its techniques of writing and techniques of communication. And it's very ideal that now you're all planning to leverage the digital age, because as Varahamira says, science is a body of knowledge that just keeps on growing. Evolving. So as we are evolving and moving into newer mediums, it's only right that you also move into the digital medium and use that as well for your preservation, as well as reaching out to a far wider audience. And we wish everybody here all the best, and we wish to gain from this particular venture that you're doing.
All this content involves short films, articles, books, blogs, everything is available in our website, bharatgyan.com, for freely accessible. It's open source. Please go check out all that you want. Substantial amount of information is available on these subjects, on the studies. Thank you so much.